Hey guys, this is Ed, Paul, and Anna of Current Brand Media, and we are here to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor.
Sportsball is a great subscription service geared towards minor league baseball fans. Each box features a different minor league team.
You get a box every 3 months with minor league baseball gear, including different styles of hats like Ed's favorite, the dad hat. The cost is less than $12 a month.
Proceeds from each box goes to More Than Baseball, the only nonprofit dedicated to the well-being of minor league baseball players.
We all know that Parents' Days are coming up this summer, so if you've got a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa who are particularly difficult to buy for, but you know they're baseball fans, this is the answer, guys.
Meet your new favorite team at sportsballbox.com.
Is there anybody there?
What's up, Deadhead Crew? If you ever wonder what it's like to play a mascot at a minor league game or go to a fantasy baseball camp for a major league team, well, guys, this is the episode for you. I sat down with my friend George Falkowski, who told me these stories plus many more. So sit down and enjoy this episode, guys. All right. Well, I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. This is your host, Ed. And with me today, I have the pleasure to introduce you guys. Well, he doesn't need any introduction. George Falkowski. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Ed. We appreciate it. You know,
I love the deep voice. Yes, so professional.
that's that. Well, as a radio, people go, you have a voice for radio. I go, really? You're kidding, right? No. Funniest thing on that is that, I've been in and out of work in media over the last 6-7 years. And
Yeah.
I volunteered to do public address at one of my son's youth hockey games. And we were at the PPL Center in Allentown, which is a spectacular new rink. It's about 6-7 years old.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting at the scorer's table, and all these 10-year-olds are skating around. And I'm going, goal scored by number. And I'm doing this thing. And when we get done, one of the parents goes, wow, you sound like a professional. I'm like, well,
I've only been doing this my whole career, but whatever.
yeah, kind of. Well, whatever. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So I'm gonna let's get to the meat and potatoes here. So what
Sure.
was the moment you became a fan of sports?
Oh, I was actually probably a latecomer.
Mhm.
Because my dad was a fan of the old New York Giants, the baseball team, and the football team too. And when they moved in 1957, after the 57 season, he just oh, screw it. I'm not going to, he didn't watch baseball. So I didn't grow up in a sports house. My dad would watch the Giants, and we had black and white TV. So I thought the Giants actually wore black uniforms, and I go, who are you rooting for, Dad? The black team or the white team? Color TV was like this thing that only rich people had. And I have a funny color TV story later if you want it. But anyway, and then I don't know, I guess I started getting into baseball cards when I was 7, because another kid in our building, I lived in Long Island City as a little kid. And I cards. And I remember getting destroyed at baseball card flipping in the lobby one day. And so my dad came down and got my cards back from the big kids. And then we were visiting one of his work friends in New Jersey. And the Yankee game was on downstairs, in the pool room. They had a pool table, which was just so cool. And I saw Joe Pepitone and Bobby Mercer hit home runs. And I remember the kid that I admired, he was 8 and I was 7. He was a Met fan. And I asked my mother, I said, who did you root for? And she said, oh, I was a Yankee fan. And I'm like, oh, well, then, I'm going to be a Yankee fan.
Right.
And that was it. And then we moved to New Jersey in January of '69. And then in 1970, I wanted to go to a ball game, and Dad took me to Cap Day. And Yankees won. Bobby Mercer hit a home run. Mel Stottlemyre beat the A's. My mother saved the back page of the Daily News, which I still have.
Really?
I've since made a proper black and white, formal copy of it on good paper, because the headline is as yellow as the Constitution, the United States right now. So it's about as in good a shape too, by the way, with the way it's yellowed and kind of crinkly, and it's not preserved behind glass. And that was the start. And so I followed the Giants because of my dad, and I followed the Yankees because of my mom. And it was always you having it out with your Met fan friends and screaming and yelling. And I teach college classes now, and I tell students with the political atmosphere the country's been in the last 10 years, I said, it's hard to believe, but you can actually argue with somebody and disagree and still like go play Monopoly later or jump in the pool. And that's the way it was. You were a Met fan, I was a Yankee fan, and we screamed and yelled at each other, but we were still friends. Right. And I tell people, it's the same thing now. You can vote one way and I can vote the other, and I can still love you and I can still be your friend.
There's nothing wrong with that.
What? They're like, what? What do you really? Yeah, it's because you don't agree on something doesn't mean you're deadly enemies.
Right.
And that's kind of how it started. Yeah. So I became like a psychotic Yankee fan. And I'm sure you're going to touch on this. As we all know, God has a sense of humor. And when I was 24, I got hired by the Boston Red Sox network in Boston. I worked for the Red Sox. I worked for the Red Sox and Boston Bruins at New England Sports Network for 10 years and loved every minute of it. I have to totally confess. So there you go.
Right. A Yankee fan working for the enemy.
Well, I looked at it more as being a missionary, like you were trying to convert the heathen. And I think the reason I fit in so well up there is because the Red Sox and Bruins are two, traditionally old franchises with lots of history. And I also worked around hockey quite a bit. I started working Devils games when I was a senior in college as an intern for the old sports channel, which is now MSG Network 2, whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. So I really dove into it because I love the history. I love the players. I love Boston Garden. Oh my God, Fenway Park. You can't beat it. And, I was still a Yankee fan and they knew it, but you weren't a jerk about it. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the great pieces of advice, and this is good for any of you who ever finds yourself doing something you didn't ever think you would be doing, is my boss said to me, George, you root for the team whose logo is on your paycheck.
Yeah.
And I could never quite get to that point, but I understood it because if the Red Sox were winning, more people were subscribing to NESN. And if they carried through to September, then, you had the Bruins crowd coming in, maybe they'd stay on. And in those days, we were a monthly service. Mm-hmm. And it was a pay service. It was $10 a month. Like today, it's just expanded basic. Right. So I don't know what your listeners have is for regional sports, cable for their sports teams. NESN is now expanded basic. So they went from when I left, we were around 400,000 subscribers all through New England, 6 mm-hmm. states. Now their universe is like 2 million homes because if you get cable or you get or satellite service, whatever, you get NESN. So that way the advertising rates go up and that's good for everybody. Yeah. So, but it was a blast. And I fully confess that when I had a chance to go to fantasy camp, first in 2013 and then again in 15, I looked at all the videos of the teams I was interested in and I chose the Red Sox because I knew a lot of the coaches because I worked with them back in the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And the irony of ironies is my team won a championship. We won the championship the first season I was in camp. And so I was back, you go down in January, you play at the minor league facility, and we go back to Fenway Park in May for the reunion weekend. And before the Sunday game, our team was introduced on the field and given our championship rings. So I have a championship ring from the Red Sox with my name on it, and my Yankee fan friends have virtually disowned me, but they got to live with it.
You know what? Whatever. I was gonna say, I don't think they have a ring from Yankees or Red Sox. So whatever at that point,
Well, when I worked up there, they didn't give out rings to the staff. Like I was there for the '86 team that lost to the Mets, and we got like a video. And when I was with the Devils network in '95, only the director, producer, and the talent got rings when they won the Cup. I got a keychain. I was just like right below the cutoff. It sucked. But now full grades to the Red Sox and Bruins since 2011 when the Bruins won. All the employees get a ring. All the full-time. It's not the big ring that the players.
Right, but it's still a ring nonetheless. Yeah.
It's like a $1,500 Cracker Jack ring, but it's like a college ring. It's so beautiful, and the design is basically the same. And the only thing you get extra is apparently a 1099 form because they consider it income.
Oh man!
But you know what? I would pay taxes to get a championship ring. Thanks very much. Count me in.
Count me in for the champion. Anything at this point. You give me a ring,
That's it.
I'll keep that forever. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's my dark years working for the Red Sox. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I've been to camp. I go back to Fenway as often, at least once a year if I can swing it.
Mhm.
I love the park. I love the people. It's one of the great ironies of life that I have 3 official Red Sox uniforms, 2 road and 1 home, and they 2 of the 2 road jerseys have my name on them. So it's
That's cool. You know what?
It
And
is.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you pay enough.
right. You pay enough money that you better have
For the
something
camp.
on it.
By the way, and while we're on the camp thing,
Yeah.
not to totally get railed here, you got to be over 30. I'm clearly over 30. But if any of your listeners or yourself has a favorite team that you grew up loving, I don't want to spend your money. Well, I do want to spend your money, actually. It's around $5,000 and plus travel and whatever expenses when you get down there. If you're a drinker, it's going to cost more, that kind of thing. It is one of the best things you will ever do. And you don't need to be an super athlete. I had a guy on my team that was 78 years old. I've seen disabled people go to fantasy camp. They accommodate them. It's awesome. And I went down as a bit of a skeptic because I've been in the media. I worked with the Red Sox. I'm not going to go down there and go, oh, look, it's Luis Tiant. Oh, look over there, it's Frank Viola. Because I know the guys, or I knew the guys.
Yeah.
And I had played at Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park as a member of the Boston media team. So that big dream had happened. So I'm like, how good can this be?
Mhm.
And I was told by a friend who had been to 6 Yankee camps. He said it's great in a different way. And I'm like, well, I'll see. And I went down and I was very skeptical. And by Friday, I was 12 years old in Little League. That's what it feels like. It's hardball. It's wood bats, composite bats. It's 90 feet. It's pitching. Morning games. It's coach pitch. So like your coaches will pitch to you. Player pitch in the afternoon. So they don't want you to kill your arm during the week.
Right.
So I've got a base hit off of Brett Saberhagen. I'm rocking.
You know what? And that's, I think you hit on a key point there is, at the end of the day, this is a kid's game, right?
Yes.
It's just adults getting a crap ton of money, at least in the majors. Minors is a different story, right? For the very few, but it's a kid's game, whether it be baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever it is. At the end of the day, we're all playing a kid's game, and we all wish we did.
Well, and I knew by the time I was 12, I wasn't going to play in the major leagues. I was pretty sure of that.
Yeah, same here.
But this is a week where, when they say it's the fantasy, it's Disneyland for baseball fans. That's what the camps are like. And you've got full uniforms, you've got trainers, you've got equipment managers, you've got gear. Your meals are taken care of. I mean, you're a major leaguer for a week.
It's
amazing.
Cool.
So I'm on the bandwagon. Most teams have these camps. You'll spend, I would guess, conservatively between $5,000 and $6,000 if you go. But if you can swing it, if you can go, and not only it will be one of the top 10 experiences of your life. You'll do anything you can to go back to another one.
Right.
So,
and at least if you can at least say that you did it once, right?
It's amazing. The ring was a total cherry on the first year. We went 7-1.
Oh, wow.
And I was very happy. I was very happy to have actually gotten an RBI base hit in the championship game. So, you contributed. So you're like, yeah, I drove it around.
Yeah, I did that. I earned that ring.
I helped them win that championship. So
now, what position did you play then?
First base, very little bit of outfield because the knees aren't what they once were, and I pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got that 40 to 45 mile an hour slurve going. I can break a pane of glass with the 55 mile an hour fastball. I actually pitched a scoreless inning against the pros. The last day of camp in Red Sox, it's coaches versus campers.
Okay.
And every team gets 3 innings against the pros. Your coaches. And the whole idea of this, the last athletic thing you do in camp, is designed to remind you that you are not a major league player. You go out. They never lose ever. And I struck out looking against Keith Falk because even at 86 miles an hour, whatever he was throwing, it was like, what? It just went right by me. But I did go out and I started the game for us. I pitched 1 inning, and our manager was Jim Corsi, famous reliever with the Red Sox, the A's. I think he won a ring with the A's in the late 80s. Boston guy. And he goes, all right, guys, get out there and have fun. And I go out there. He goes, you have no chance. So I went out and I got, who was it? I got Mike Timlin to fly out, and he's like 17 feet tall, so he just missed it. He's a pitcher, but he can still hit. I got Brian Dawback, outfielder, infielder. He's a lefty, so I dropped down on him and I got him to pop out. And then one of the ringers doubled and another guy popped out. So I came off the field and I see Jim Corsi and I go, haven't got a chance, huh? And it was like the worst thing I could have said because like you've offended the former major leaguer.
And it's on after that.
Yeah. He goes, get out there and see if you can do it again. And I'm like, no, Tommy's pitching the second inning. I'm done. See ya.
No, I won. I'm going to go on a high note right here.
Know when to fold them, right? Kenny Rogers. So I'll tell you this, so after the game, we're in the locker room and it's the locker room and there's showers and it's like everybody else. And so I'm walking in and Brian Dawback is walking out, right? And I got him. He was raking all day and I got him to pop out on that drop down slurp crappy pitch I threw. And this is the way the players treat you. He goes, hey man, he goes, you're the toughest lefty I've faced in 5 years. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, I haven't played in 5 years. And I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
So,
just
so
to
they
remind you.
give it to you. They give it to you. It's pretty funny.
He goes like, you're the toughest lefty. Reminding you, I have not played in over 5 years.
Yes. So they know who they can pick on and who they can. It's wonderful. So there you go.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
There's my commercial for fantasy camp. There you go.
You know what? For all the listeners, all 5 listeners of mine, definitely do it.
Well, when you put this up, I'll make sure I get my 7 to join about 12. Would be good.
There it is. Now we're talking. We're getting there.
So what else you want to know?
So I saw a video. Well, you actually, tagged me in one of them. You are a mascot for a day. Tell me about that because I saw the video. I saw the end and you were just drenched. First of all, I'm sure before you even put it on, it smelled like what just died in there.
They clean them out. They're not that nasty. I apparently had the backup bear costume because the regular bear guy had fallen down the day before and cut his knee, so they were getting the blood cleaned out of the other one. And literally the funny part there are a couple of funny things about the story. It was the Newark Bears.
Yep.
They're now gone. Rick Cerrone brought Atlantic League Baseball back to Newark, and longer story for another day. The city did not come through as they said they would. And they had a good start, but things didn't work out. And after about 20 years, he sold after about 5 because he saw the writing on the wall. So the team is gone. The park is gone. It's a disaster. But they had this great bear named Rupert after Jacob Rupert, the former Yankee owner from the 20s and 30s. And they were a Yankee farm team originally back in the 40s. Yogi Berra played there. And there was also a Negro League team there called the Eagles. And so Rupert's the mascot. And we had a Wednesday afternoon in August. The temperature was hot. And it was the next day, and my sports director says, well, so-and-so has the camera tomorrow night, so you better find something to do during the day. I'm like, on a Wednesday during the summer, what? And I had seen the Philly Fanatic at a minor league Phillies game, Lakewood Blue Claws, and I'm like,
right.
Let me ask that. And they're like, yeah, sure, come on down. So if the video, for those who are interested, if you go to YouTube and you just type in mascot for a day, and you'll see the Newark Bear Rupert. That's me.
Yep.
I got out there. You had to, it's like a lot of things. You have to be very open-minded when you get into something like that. And it was not unlike putting on a giant burlap rug. And as you see in the video, the last lesson before you go out is you can't talk. Like mascots can't talk.
Right.
But I did have a microphone on my T-shirt, so I could mumble to the camera guy when I was in distress, or make wacky comments. And I was literally in the park for 30 minutes. And about halfway through, I turned to the guy that was my handler, and I said, I really need to get down back in the building. It's really hot. And so you're trying to get back, but everybody wants a piece of it.
Right.
One kid wants to punch you in the nose. Another girl wants to dance. She was kind of cute. Look at the video. Little kids are dragging at you. And one of them goes, you want some water? You need some water? And I'm like, oh, I need some water. And I got in and I popped my head off, as you said. It sounds kind of weird. Popped my head off. And it looks like I had been in a pool.
Oh, yeah.
It was soaking wet. And the good news is that story that I did on spur of the moment, like with 24 hours notice, is to find something to do.
Right.
This is my little, I don't do it a lot, my little pat on the back. That story helped win me 2 New York Emmy Awards.
You know what? It was great. It was hilarious. I
Thank
was
you.
laughing the whole time
Well,
because
apparently the judges did too. Thank goodness for that, right?
right. Listen, it got you 2 New York Emmys. That's all that matters.
It's awesome. That's
That's
it. Just keep dusted. We're good. But so yeah, those were my that was two. That was two of them, and it was it was quite a day, and it's still one of my favorite stories.
yeah. I mean, it's great. I mean, I saw the then there was another video of you, like, you were talking about the fantasy
Fantasy
baseball
camp,
camp. Yeah. And then, they says like, he should just stay home, and watch.
Yeah. That was one. If you want to look, that one's called Glory Days.
Yep.
Like the Bruce Springsteen song, and that was. I have a habit when I'm doing my stories. I try to like flip stories around. Like instead of doing the story on the football team in New Jersey with the longest winning streak, find me the high school football team with the longest losing streak. I think that's a better story.
Absolutely.
And I'm also, as you can tell, a natural smart aleck. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a series on HBO called When It Was a Game. I don't know if you've seen it or any of your listeners have seen it.
Yep.
But HBO or whoever had found all this color film footage from the 30s and 40s because baseball players, as a promotion, were given these color film cameras, I guess like by Kodak, or I think that was the company. And they shot all these movies at the ballpark. And then they found the stuff. And it's a part of history that we all see in black and white.
Right.
And yet there's Wrigley Field in the 30s in color, and there's Babe Ruth in color, and there's DiMaggio and all these, and then they ended up doing 3 of them. And it was very sappy and very sweet. And they would have these really, dramatic voiceovers, talking about reading poetry about baseball and the romanticism of baseball. And they would do it the same way. They would say, and you would never see the player talking. They would just mention his name and he would talk. So they would say something, let's say it was me, and they would go, former Red Sox TV producer, George Falkowski. And then you'd hear my voice go, well, I remember back in the days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was wonderful. And it was all these great players. And so naturally, the way my mind works, I said, what if they did a story or When It Was a Game about all the really bad players that really never made it? Like,
You're right.
Or guys that just sort of hung on, like George Zeber. That would be a good one. He won a World Series ring with the 77 Yankees. He got up twice in the World Series and he struck out twice. That's a story.
Right.
So
Something
my
fun.
mind says, what if you did a story about the guys that weren't that great? And then I said, what if I did that about me?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, wait a minute. Now the wheels started turning.
Right.
So who can I get for this? So naturally, I was able to find, and everybody in that story is legitimate, 100%. Billy Flagg was my teammate in Little League. He was our Bob Gibson. He was so awesome. Still friends today. And he told the story of me saving his no-hitter in the World Series, and I did. And I wasn't hoping for like a good story.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't tell that one. That's a good one. Because I did have my one little moment. And so I flipped it and said I was 0 for 10 in the World Series and we lost, whatever. It's my actual guidance counselor from junior high school. I got Rick Cerrone with the Bears, and Jose Canseco's twin brother Ozzie was on the team. He was as nice as Jose was a jerk. And Ozzie agreed to do it. The manager of the Bears played along. Cerrone played along. Sparky played along. And I had all these pictures and some video and some other stuff. And I just wrote the whole thing, and I gave them lines to say. And it's a writing style where you set it up and then you drop the little thing. So
right.
I had my guidance counselor say, well, when Maya George was a student, he was a good student, and we encouraged him to pursue his love of athletics. And then he would pause and say, looking back, that probably wasn't a good idea.
I was dying.
And Sparky Lyle absolutely freaking killed it. Maybe, I've seen George play, blah, blah, blah. He goes, and looking at George's career, maybe, he should have just like watched from the stands. And then he pauses and he says, or stay home and watch it on TV. That's probably better. And so it was like the whole thing was to make me look like a dope. Right. And the funny part of the story was my assistant news director hated it because it wasn't really a news story. It was like a feature. So I snuck that into the newscast. I got yelled at and screamed. It won an AP award. So whatever.
You got to have the fun, and I think a lot of people take it too serious sometimes, right? You just got to have fun with it. It was true, right? Most of the time. And I think that's what, the whole thing about me doing this and all that is, It's all about having fun, meeting people, right? And then just getting to know people all across the US, and that we love a sport that kids play,
Yes.
that adults get paid millions of dollars to do.
Yes, and we help subsidize that too. So I know this is not a video thing, but just for your audience knows, I did break out my Staten Island Pizza Rats dad hat for the interview.
Yes, you did.
And the Staten Island Pizza Rats T-shirt. That is sadly not coming back with the new Staten Island franchise, but I own a game cap, 2 dad hats, 1 T-shirt, and I did get a first-year pinstripe game jersey at auction.
Really?
So most people loved it. And as long as we're promoting my work, if you go to YouTube and you type in Chasing News Sports or Chasing News Pizza Rats in the search window, I did 2 stories on the Pizza Rats. And almost everybody loved it except one dude from Staten Island who was offended by the name, and he keeps attacking me on Twitter and complaining. I'm like, dude, it was all in fun. Relax.
I keep seeing him, and I'm like, listen, you just gotta get over it. It's a joke.
Well, the whole idea of the minor league, there's two things we need to know about the minor leagues. One is it's to have fun, and 2, they have to make money.
Yeah.
And I can understand where some people were like, well, even if you look at the famous pizza rat video from the New York subway, where the rat is dragging the slice of pizza down the steps in New York City. And if you want to complain that that's not Staten Island, yeah, I get it. Or if you want to get really sensitive and go, you're saying that it's a dirty place. No, you're not. You're making fun of an image of a pizza rat in New York. It's awesome. And they made more money in 3 days of merchandise sales than they did the entire previous season. And everybody I talked to at the park loved it. And it's fun. And there was a lady in one of the videos. She put a rubber rat on her baseball cap. It was hanging off of that. Whatever, have fun. It's baseball. It's minor league baseball. Look at the names they're calling franchises these days.
Yeah,
sock puppets, right? I mean, whatever. It's fun.
I love, which by the way is my favorite, Appy League name is the Suck Puppets. That's actually by far one of my favorites because it's fun and it's, it's unique to the area, right?
Well, that's the point. Like, I live on the border of Pennsylvania here in New Jersey, and we're 30 minutes from Allentown and the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and that's a AAA Phillies team. And people, Iron Pigs, what is that? Well, guess what? Back in the day when mining was a huge thing across the river, one of the things they used to mine was called pig iron. And that's where Iron Pigs came from. So the whole park is like bacon products and pigs and pork. And they had these great T-shirts the first year. They were like, they had the bacon strip on it that said Iron Pigs, and it had a bacon smell. And my son was like 8 when we bought him his first one, and he thought it was the smell lasted for like 10 washings. It was my wife didn't like it so much, maybe, but the Iron Pigs bacon's it's hysterical. And then they have a pork race, like 5 pork characters that come running out. There's Ham Bone, there's Crisp E Bacon, Diggity Dog.
I mean, come on, how can you not have fun with that?
Barbecue, okay, Ribby. Like ribeye, get it? Yeah. Ribby. And poor Ham Bone, he's like the guy that always loses. I mean, he won opening night, and he hasn't won since. So he'll probably win the second to last game because they want to make sure he gets one more in before the last game of the season. So, but I mean, we love Ham Bone. He could be up by 30 feet. He'll get distracted by a pretty girl in the stands. He's going to fall down. Someone's going to come out and trip him. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's not going to make it. Do not put your money on Ham Bone.
But look at all the teams in the minors that have, different alternate names, right?
Yes.
Even the Copa right now. So, I mean,
the Copa stuff is great.
Yeah.
Well, like the Lakewood Blue Claws. Well, now they're the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. There's another story. If you do Chasing News and you do pork roll, which is a major controversy here in New Jersey. It's this great breakfast sandwich, which is like pork, egg, cheese on kind of like a seeded bun. It's a little ham on it. It's unbelievable. So in North Jersey, they call it Taylor ham, and in South Jersey, it's pork roll. So now the Jersey Shore Blue Claws renamed the franchise the pork roll, egg, and cheese 2 summers ago. And I went and did a story, and I had the jerseys were awesome and the hats were awesome. I went and did a story, and I had this one very indignant woman who was arguing with me on camera in the gift shop, team store, about the name Taylor Ham versus pork roll. And she just says, she goes, Taylor Ham is a brand. If you want Taylor Ham, then order it. It's pork roll. She goes, you wouldn't call what was the line she used? It was really funny. Give me a hot dog, Oscar Mayer. She goes, you wouldn't refer to your hot dogs as Oscar Mayer. And I paused and I went, you might. And she went, no. And I just cut right there because she was getting mad at me.
I was like,
I was just poking at her.
Yeah.
You wouldn't call it Oscar Mayer. I'm like, well, you could.
I mean, you
oh,
could.
No.
Ballpark.
But people care about that crap. But that's it. So they went pork roll. They did a thing 5 or 6 years ago where they, if anybody's familiar with the geography of the Great Garden State, down south we have an area called the Pine Barrens. Okay, which is basically sand and short pine trees. And among things that come from the Pine Barrens is the Jersey Devil was reportedly born there and lives there, the guy that they named the hockey team after. And so they had an alternate, like the name that they didn't choose 25 years ago or 20 years ago, and they rebranded as the Pine Barrens, except instead of a baron like Barren, like it's barren, it was Baron. So they had like a beaver woodchuck thing with a pilot's helmet on with glasses. That's awesome. And he was carrying a little pine tree over his shoulder. And I still have that hat. That's another beauty. So they did the Pine Barrens. Staten Island Pizza Rats. Hello. They did that on Saturdays for 2 years in a row and did great stuff with that.
I own a hat. I own one of the Pizza Rats.
It's unbelievable. And like even the Iron Pigs, they'll do 2 or 3 things a year where they'll just rebrand the team.
Why not?
This year it's the Wiener Dogs. I don't quite get that one, but okay. Wiener Dogs.
Yeah, the dog wrapped them bacon.
Yeah, they got that. They got that logo too. So it's minor league baseball. It's affordable. It's a blast. I think we all admit that 20% of the people in the park care about the actual game, and the rest are all there for fun.
Yeah, it's entertainment.
And I can give you a great line. I'll give you a great line from Steve Califer, who was the longtime owner of the Somerset Patriots, just passed away this year. So just when his team became the Yankees AA affiliate, he died. And but I had interviewed him once about people complaining that independent baseball was trying to pass itself off as legitimate affiliated baseball. And he shook his head. And this is a guy that owned like 30 car dealerships and all this. And he said, George, he says, I'm not competing with the minor leagues. I'm competing with the movies.
Right.
And that's it, man. You think that 80% of the people at the ballpark care about who wins the game? They're there for the mascot race. They're there for the games on the board, the contests, the fun, the food.
They're there for a good time.
Whatever. And you know what? If it turns any of them into a baseball fan, then it's even better.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Like I'm eventually next year I'm going to be taking my daughter to a game. She's going to be 4 by then, right? She's not going to care one bit about the game. I do, right? Because I'm a baseball fan and I love the game, but she's not going to care, right? So, I want to send, take it to a place where there's these toys and there's entertainment and all the races and all that stuff, because it's
the bouncy house.
Absolutely. You got to have the bouncy house, of course. Just throw it in there and have some fun, kid. We'll be back.
That's it.
So
no, it's absolutely what it's supposed to be. And some of you great people on Twitter have been following my adventures this summer. Between May and August or Labor Day, I went to a ball. I would have seen 37 games if not for 2 rainouts. That included a couple of major league trips. I snuck in Fenway, made my dramatic return to Yankee Stadium after a 5-year absence. I saw a doubleheader out at Citi Field. I saw DeGrom pitch back in June, and the highlight of that day was they had because the games are 7 innings in the majors this year for doubleheaders.
Right.
The announcer says, "And now it's time to get up for the 5th inning stretch," and the whole place booed. I'm like, I love this. New York sports fans booing the 5th inning stretch. It was great because it's garbage. I hate that. I get it in the minors. You want to save arms, fine. And luckily, and I think happily, Major League Baseball, I understand, is going to dump the 7-inning doubleheaders, and they're going to dump the Ghost Runner because I'm tired of softball rules.
Yeah, no, the Ghost Runner doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Oh, well, ironically, a Clint Eastwood movie is coming out any day now, and so I just get off my baseball lawn T-shirt or something.
No, there's some things that you can experiment with. I get it, that they're trying to, I don't know, make the game faster, go faster, whatever. I just, those are things. No, not everything works. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I did a story a couple of years ago for Chasing News on the robo-umps, and Somerset was still an independent team. So I went out there and Everybody was great. I got to talk to the umpires, talk to the MLB people running the computer. You can see, I think that's coming, by the way. That's coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's coming to Major League Baseball. But the other stuff, like you could steal first base. What? Like if the ball gets away from a pitcher on a 1-0 pitch and it goes to the backstop, you can try to run to first base. No, don't do that. They were extending the size of the bases to make it safer. To me, that's, you just changed the game. You know, it's 3 inches shorter to each side now, so it's not 90 feet anymore. Change the way the base is made.
Correct.
Not made out of this hard rubber that people can slip and break an ankle on. Do that. Don't change the size of the base. They're going to outlaw the shift. Hey, Ted Williams beat the shift his whole career. And
learn
you
how
don't
to
like the shift.
Learn how to hit the other way.
Yeah, hit the ball left field, big lefty hitters. How about that? That'll cure it.
That's one of the things.
You got people on defense. Yeah, put people on defense wherever you want them. I don't care.
You know, that's really the one thing that bugs me to no end. And all these major league players complaining that like, oh, the shift, this and this shift. You know what? You're a major league player. You get paid millions of dollars. Figure it out. Go the other way. That's the game.
Totally agree. That's it.
Don't complain.
That's the game.
Do something about it.
It's a game. Well, you know, my kids play hockey. I'm sorry, I'm doing this from my car, and there's a lady driving over like a curb over here.
This is great.
Nice job. Sorry, people. It's kind of a visual, like this crazy lady who didn't see the curb and like drove up and over it, and now I guess her car's okay. Sorry for the little. But you know, I said both of my kids are hockey goalies, son and daughter, and it's the same thing in hockey in a way that it's a game of adjustments. Is that if you know a certain shooter is going to always break to his right, you can just stay up and move that way, and then until he figures it out, and then he adjusts, and now you have to adjust.
Right.
And it's the same in baseball. I mean, the guy I always think of, and he was one of the nicest people on the planet, was Kevin Moss with the Yankees. Came up in the early 90s, hit like 24 bombs as a rookie. And it was, oh, here we go. Mantle, Maris, Mercer, Moss. You know, he was going to be the next big M. And then pitchers found out he couldn't hit a curveball. And Kevin was never really able to adjust to that. And he played a few more years and on he went. So either you adjust or die. I mean, that's sports.
That's the name of the game.
You know, I watched Brian McCann line out to short right field for 3 years as a Yankee because the second baseman was 100 feet in right field and he would just keep catching them.
Right. Big news, guys. They figured you guys out. So now you got to do something else. That's how the game goes.
Look at us sitting in front of microphones lecturing major league players. I love it.
They won't even care either. So
well, you never know. Maybe somebody will catch it.
Eventually one day somebody will listen.
So all right. Yeah, for all you folks listening, is I call it ballpark therapy because when you go to the game, and I'm sure you know this, for 4 hours, nothing else matters. Not a single thing. Everything, you know, relationships, bills, job search, whatever. All that matters now is what's coming on the 3-1 pitch. And if you're with somebody you care about at a ball game, you can solve all the problems of the world inside of 3 hours. It's That's awesome. Right. It really is. So, all right. So here we go. So are you ready? All right. Yes, sir. So go to the ballpark. What is your favorite snack? Well, it depends on the ballpark. If I go to Philly, some of your listeners may remember Greg Luzinski, the Bull, who played on the 1980 World Series team, great big, gigantic left fielder. He's got a concession called Bull's Barbecue. And I go when I go to Philly, I walk in the door, I go to the authentic stand to see what's for sale, and I go to Bull's Barbecue, and I get a bulldog, which is almost a foot-long kibasi with baked beans, coleslaw, diet soda, and let's go to town. And it takes about a half an hour to eat the whole thing, but that's first thing. I like the pizza at Iron Pigs. Yankees and Mets, it's always Nathan's Franks because they're the best hot dogs on the planet. So really, and if I go to Fenway Park, you can get a Fenway. You get a Fenway Frank. They got other kinds of stuff there. Or if you're really smart, what you do is you eat on the way. Yeah, save the money. Because you save a lot of money then. I can't. I don't have a wide diet because I've got kind of a right-wing stomach. It's very conservative. But you know, at the few ballparks I frequent, I know what I like. So. Nice, love it. Speaking of hot dogs, mustard on a hot dog, yay or nay? Yes, and you know what? I'll even throw ketchup and mustard on a hot dog. Absolutely. If you don't like it, Hey, as if I may quote the great Yukon Cornelius
Mm-hmm.
of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer fame, you eat what you like, and I'll eat what I like. There
Simple as that. The end of the day, that's all it can.
Yukon, baby. You
That's-
eat what you like. Yeah, I love Yukon.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancake guy. Waffles are cool. Waffles are cool, but I'm a pancake guy.
Pancake guy. Okay. All right. So, beach or mountain?
Both. I love the beach. I've been going to the Jersey Shore since I was a little kid. I couldn't imagine the summer without it. For you folks not from New Jersey, you don't know what you're missing, man. Long Beach Island, it's not Jersey Shore with all these yo-yos from Staten Island showing up, speaking of pizza rats.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, in a couple of weeks, I lived in New England for 10 years and 5 of those in New Hampshire. Birthday's coming up, and I am heading up. I'm going to be a leaf peeper. I'm going to go into the White Mountains. I'm going to breathe that cold air and freeze my lungs at night, and then walk around. And the colors of New England make New Jersey look like black and white TV with the fall. So I could do either or, and be very happy doing it.
I like it. I like it. What color is your toothbrush?
It's actually white. Because that was the one that when I reached in to get, like, I just lost my toothbrush, and the next one in the cabinet that was still in its wrapper was white.
Right.
So
okay,
not a big controversy in mine, and no one else has a white one, so I can find mine easily. So.
First fruit that comes to mind.
First fruit. Let's go with strawberry.
Nice, like it. Well, you know what? The whole theme of this podcast so far has been the pizza. So let's go with deep dish or New York style.
Oh, it's New York. It's not a Jersey, actually. Let's get. I mean, New York and New Jersey are they're kind of tied at the hip when it comes to pizza.
Yeah.
And when you're here in Jersey, like I'm in Western New Jersey, so there's not a lot of like Eastern New Jersey, New York type pizza. But right where I'm sitting here, I'm not too far from Frank's Trattoria in Powhatan Plaza. Free plug. That guy's pizza is unbelievable. And when I lived in Boston, there was all New England, a lot of Greek pizza, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want the real thing, if you're going to Boston, you got to go to the North End. That's all Italian restaurants and stuff, and that's where you get that great, I mean, deep dish is great. I like it.
Mm-hmm. I've had both.
Give me New York and New Jersey, baby. Let's go.
Pineapple on pizza.
I got your freaking pizza right over here. Hey.
Pineapple on pizza.
I've done it. Yeah, cool. If it's Domino's, but Domino's is like snack pizza. It's not like pizza.
Right.
It's like pizza you get when you're starving.
And you got nothing else around.
And, I'll usually like do extra cheese and like beef and pepperoni and sausage and stuff. But, if somebody wants to throw a little pineapple pizza on there, a little ham, yeah, sure. Why not? Why hem yourself in? I've learned that as an older guy.
That's right. Absolutely right. Okay. What is your spirit animal?
Oh, it's got to be either a golden retriever or a Labrador retriever. I've got a black lab now. I've had 3 Labradors in a row after my golden. I loved my golden retriever so much I couldn't get another one when he passed.
Gotcha.
So I've had 3 Labradors. It's kind of like the same dog in a different wrapper in a lot of ways. They share a lot of the same personality traits, and they're very smart. But the dog we have now is our first black lab, and it just seems to me, and there's a whole like group on Facebook about black lab owners. They're just so goofy. They're like at the next level. I mean, Labradors and Goldens are kind of nutty and goofy and fun.
Right.
The black ones are just nuts. I mean, this guy talks to me. I mean, and so you have to enjoy athletics, getting outside, having fun, and being a goofball.
Yep.
And so hey man, I still watch The Honeymooners. I still watch Monty Python's Flying Circus. But I like whatever made me laugh when I was a kid. I do now. I still try to play baseball now. Still play catch.
Nice.
Try to get to and I think the Labrador and the Golden Retrievers teach us that. But at the same time, they're also great service dogs that they want to do for other people.
Right.
And I'm very much, I feel that way, that I want to be helpful and positive and make, I always felt from the time I was probably a teenager that when you meet people, you can either leave them better than you found them, worse than you found them, or the same way. And 2 of those 3 to me are unacceptable. I always try to make it better. And I think
right. I agree.
Retrievers, man.
There
Goofy, fun, smart, and loyal. I hope that's me.
I like it. Well, and here's 2 more questions here.
I'll keep them coming.
What was your nickname growing up?
I used to get picked on because my name is George. So I used to hear George of the Jungle a lot when I was a little kid because it wasn't a real popular name. I did get a nickname later.
Yeah.
All right. And it's all going to go back. It goes back to Red Sox again. It's really funny. When I played for the media team, which was the lowest common denominator of the rivalry, the Boston media would play the New York media writers once a year at each park in a hardball game, like in the morning.
Yeah.
And we all took it pretty seriously. And as it happens, and there is video proof on YouTube, I hit an inside the park home run at Fenway in '94. I'm a lefty hitter. I looked for the inside fastball, got it, ripped it over the right, it rolled around, the right field at Fenway. And I hit this, and it became like this big thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, you hit a home run at Fenway Park." So my first name is George. Baseball historians will know that the Red Sox had a first baseman named George Scott. And he was a big African-American, right? He used to wear like hookah beads. The guy was amazing. He used to talk like this. He was unbelievable. And his nickname was Boomer. So if you put it in the home run, first name George, Carl Bean, who was the longtime voice of Fenway Park, passed away about 9 years ago, I'm sorry. And he ran the media team. So he stuck me with Boomer. And that has pretty much lasted. Anybody who knows me from, they go, "Hey, Boomer!" And I'm like, "Oh, I hit one home run." But it's one more than a lot of people hit. So
that's right. Because I've never hit one.
Well, it's on YouTube, and Phil Rizzuto made fun of me. It's in the video. So if you I think my thing on YouTube is Geo Sports, like one word, Geo Sports. So if you look up, George and Phil Rizzuto, you may see the home run. But we do have video proof.
There you go. All right, last question here.
There you go.
Last question. Worst job you've ever had?
Wow, there were a few. I tried to be one of those phone salespeople for like some company that like sold fire.
Oh man,
that was one day that I walked away from that. That was pretty quick. My first job was at a place called Beaucraft Playland, right in beautiful Scotch Plains, New Jersey. It was like a really chintzy amusement park.
Right.
And the guy that ran it was kind of a maniac, and they had batting cages. And some of your listeners remember the rubber coated hard balls. They weren't like spongy. They were like cement coated. And he wanted me to pick up baseballs between the batters and the machines while they were batting.
Oh no.
With just like a lacrosse helmet on.
Oh,
and I refused, and that was the end of my first job. So I would say that was probably.
I would have quit too.
I've had some bad TV gigs too, but that's my Beaucraft got to be right there.
Yeah. No, I would have quit too.
Beaucraft. No, I didn't quit. He said, "Get out of here." All right. Get out of here.
See you later.
That's it. I was done. I'll tell you what. Best job other than TV was working at a movie theater.
Oh, really?
All through college. Yeah, seriously, you young people out there, best job you'll ever have as a young person, because you learn every survival skill. After you work at a movie theater for a couple of years, you can deal with maniacs, you can deal with drunks, you can do crowd control, you can answer all the stupid questions in the world, and you can clean up anything.
At that point, yeah.
Do a midnight show when they're done in those bathrooms.
But,
hello.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you
good.
very much.
Yeah,
best question I ever got at the movie theater. You ready? Do you have a midnight show? Yes, we do. What time does it start? Yeah, we also got how much is your dollar popcorn? That was a good one.
Oh God.
And another favorite was, "Excuse me, sir, how do I go to the bathroom?" And I'm like, "Lady,
man.
I can just show you where."
I'm just gonna direct you, and then off you go.
I'm very literal. What can I tell you? I don't know.
All right, my friend. Well, I want to thank you again for being here on this podcast. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media?
Well, I'm on Twitter. So you can spell at George Falkowski, F like Frank, ALKOWSKI. My handle is 363DP, like a first base, second shortstop, first base double play. I'm on Facebook, but I'm picky. And you can also find me, same thing with George Falkowski on Instagram. And Geo Sports is my handle on YouTube. If you just want to find some recent videos, if you just do Chasing News Sports, you'll see a lot of stuff there. I did news features. I did sports and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Plenty of stuff.
And I'll make sure I put all the link.
Yeah, my website is yo-georgetv.com. Like yo-georgetv.com. Yo, hey, New York, whatever. So, but there's a dash between the yo and the George. So.
I will be putting all this information on the notes so that way everybody can go ahead and give you a follow, my friend. Hey,
yo, hey, shut up over there, lady, shut up. I lived in New York for 8 years, but I can speak Boston, I can speak New York, I can do whatever you guys need.
My friend, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that.
What a hoot. Thanks so much, and good luck, and keep gathering them dad hats.
I will most certainly do that, my friend. Take care.
My man. All right, buddy. See ya.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a hard pass on becoming a mascot. That's just me. I hope you guys enjoy that episode. I know I did. Make sure you guys are giving George a follow, okay, on Twitter. And before we go, a couple of things. Make sure that you are subscribed to this podcast so that way you guys are always in the know when something is about to drop. Give it 5 stars. Give it a good ranking so that way we go up, okay? And then finally, if you're interested in the video version, it is on YouTube as well. So that way you guys can enjoy a little video podcast, okay? Until then, keep on grinding and always support the minor leagues.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean. And I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTommaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
This is Patrick
and Corey
of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball. So get on the site and find a team near you today.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.